Well, welcome to the Dunvegan. Delighted you're here. My name's Sheena Willoughby, and my husband and I bought the Dunvegan in 1993. It was a bit of a spur of the moment decision. I like to think we were in the right place at the right time. But we used to come down to St Andrews and hang out on weekends. Basically, we were both working in the oil field industry up in Aberdeen, and we'd kind of escape Aberdeen and come down to St Andrews, and we always had a good time in the Dunvegan. Back then, it was a totally different place. It had great vibes, but it was, smoky, sticky floor, linoleum, but a hangout, and great characters. That would be a good way to describe the people that were in here at that time. Great characters of the town, caddies. We had fun here. And then we were at the bar one night and the owner said he was looking to sell, and Jack just kind of, we'll buy it. And I thought, waking up in the morning and life would be normal, but after that it changed our lives, and we put together a business plan, got kicked back a few times because we really didn't have the experience of buying a hotel, managing it, all of that. But we felt we were good customers. Jack had a great sort of business brain for management, and I was more hands-on, personality, customer service type person. So we figured if we put the two together and worked hard, we could pull this off. And our strategy was really that if we came into a place and got this type of service, that other people should be able to come in and be happy with that. We were never trying to be 5-star luxury. We didn't need to be that, but we wanted to create an environment for golfers, and turn the place into a golf haven for people from all over the world to come here to a friendly environment and eat and drink in 100 yards from the old course.
I see you're the personality because you have pictures with a lot of famous golfers, and not just golfers. I'm sure a lot of famous people in general have been here. What are some of your favorite photos and memories that stick out the most?
Oh wow!
Because you got a lot of photos on these walls.
I know it is.
But anything that sticks out in particular?
Boy, it's like every story, every photograph has a story behind it. But some of the most memorable ones, I guess, is Clint Eastwood came in one day, sat over in that table there, and he'd been up at King's Barnes, and they'd called down and said, "Hey, just to let you know, Clint Eastwood's been up here playing golf. He's on his way down for fish and chips." And it was like, my goodness, Clint Eastwood, it's like you watch all these movies and then, how his soundtracks, all these soundtracks come flying through your head. And then he came, and he and his family were the most laid back, down to earth people that you could ever imagine. Sat there and had fish and chips and called me Queen of Fish and Chips, so that was like Clint Eastwood. Then we had Neil Armstrong, first man on the moon, that came in. That was totally amazing. And of course he was, again, the same thing, just a normal guy, just wanted to fit in. He didn't want any fuss. And of course we had our photograph taken, but there was no way that he was going to sign it, because he just did not want people selling memorabilia down the road, I guess. But of course we were never going to, that's not what we do. But anyway, we had a picture taken, so that was cool. But on the golf scene, we've had, the first ever women's British Open was held here in 2007, and Lorena Ochoa and her family took over the hotel and the guest house next door, and we just had the best week with all these Mexicans in here. We decked the place out in Mexican colors, and of course she won. And on the Sunday night, after she did all the formalities down at the golf course, she came up here. This place was just jumping, and it was just great fun. And we had a trumpeter that was doing Mexican music, and we'd recorded the golf that day. And when she came in, we played it back, her coming up 18. And then of course we had the the golf signs, quiet please. So we were up there with the quiet signs, and you could hear a pin drop in here. And then suddenly Lorena hold the putt, and then it was like, oh, hell broke loose, the cheering. And we did that several times. So it was just the best fun. Lorena staying here, and her family and her brother Alejandro. And then from there on, she invited me to Mexico. And I went to Guadalajara and stayed in a hotel with all the players that were playing in the tournament. And got chaperoned by police entourage from the hotel to the golf course and back every day. And it's just the connections that's formed with people that come in here. It's just great fun. And then Stacey Lewis came in, and she said that she wanted to stay here because if Lorena won here, she wanted to win, so she was staying here. And of course 2013, the Women's British Open came along again. Stacey Lewis stayed here, and of course she won. So and then she's booked again for the next Women's Open in 2024. Stacey's staying here, so that's kind of neat. Some of the other photographs, our first photograph, really, I should mention that one because that's really what helped get us all kicked off, was the caddies came up here and got talking to Jack. They were American caddies, Jack being from Texas, American connection, so they all got talking. And then they went back and told their golfers that, hey, there's a Yank that's bought the bar up on the corner. So, of course, the golfers all said, well, hey, let's get up there, we'll get a good burger. So that was the thing. And that's how we have that picture up there of Freddie Couples, Steve Elkington, Curtis Strange, and Tom Kite. So that's kind of neat. And, of course, Arnold Palmer, he's been a great ambassador for us. Our first Open in 1995. Arnold Palmer course design people, they took over the hotel, and this was their base. And what else could you ask for? And then subsequently, through the years, Arnold Palmer would walk in here unannounced, order himself a half pint, and go sit out in the patio. You couldn't buy that. And he's just out there sitting, and cars were honking as they went by, and it was all just great fun. So lots of really great stories. Nancy Lopez, she was here. She was an assistant captain at the Solheim Cup at Glen Eagles, and I'd met her before. She'd been on a visit here with Nancy Lopez Golf Adventures, and they'd been staying up at the Fairmont Hotel and had come down here, all her customers sitting over here by the window. And we kind of connected. And then when she was over in Glen Eagles for the Solheim, she and her husband Ed were going to have a week off, some downtime after the tournament. And she came in, and it was just the best week. We played golf, and she did an evening in here, an evening with Nancy, which you can't buy really, and sat up there and entertained everybody in the bar. So that was great, and she and her husband Ed played the old course, and we had a great photograph taken. So there's been so many, like the Walker Cup team up there, and it's funny now when you watch like Jordan Spieth and the fame and fortune and how well they've done in their golf careers, to think that they came in here as young amateurs. The Walker Cup team, Peter Uihlein, Patrick Cantlay, Jordan of course, and Harris English, and now look what they've done with their careers. And even the picture up there, the Links Trophy that's held in St Andrews every year. It's one of the biggest amateur event for golfers throughout the world. And up there we've got God, I've forgotten their names now, I think. The Molinari brothers up there when they used to come for the Links Trophy before they even turned pro. So we've seen people come through here as young amateurs before they turn professional. And Rory in his younger day as well would come and hang out here, and it was really funny. He'd sit here at this table with his back to the bar, you know, kind of incognito, but I mean, you just saw all that black curly hair, and you know, he was, you know, you could clearly see who it was. So yeah, lots of stories. I could write a book, to be honest.
I think you should write a book.
I don't know.
See, you do have some photos with Tiger. Obviously, he has a huge history
Yes.
at St. Andrews.
Yes.
And I guess the Dunvegan too.
Yes, he does.
What's your experience been with Tiger?
Well, Tiger first came in 2000? He came in with Mark Camara back in the day, and he had dinner in the restaurant in the Claret Jug, and you know, Tiger, I mean, he was just a young man back then, but yeah, it was great to have him in, and he was happy to have a photograph taken. There's another picture up there, Tiger, and I really believe that, you know, if you mention the Dunvegan to Tiger, he knows, but he's just, you know, it's just impossible for him to come up these days and walk in here, and it's a shame that it's like that, but you never know, what we may see him this week. But yeah, he's been a good ambassador for the Dunvegan too.
What does it mean to you, just in general, to be so like baked into golf history? I mean, St. Andrews, just amazing history, and just to kind of be like such a big part of it. You know, what does that?
Yeah.
What does
well,
that feel like?
Jack's just kind of walked in.
Sorry, man.
Hey, if you want to join, come out.
No, Jack can tell a few stories too. But no, I mean, like when I first came to St. Andrews, to be honest, I didn't start playing golf till I was 30, and you know,
So you've been playing for 5 years.
But you know, came to St. Andrews, and I really didn't know the history. We had our wedding in '94, and there's a photograph up of us there on the Swilcan Bridge, and you know, I didn't really realise what I was getting into when we first took over this hotel, because it wasn't until, you know, like '95 that, you know, like when Tiger came on the scene, and kind of things really propelled in the golf world, and we got in before that happened. So I really didn't fully understand exactly what I was getting into, and what St. Andrews was, because I wasn't into golf growing up. I mean, I lived. It's a sad thing to say, but I was raised an hour from here, and back in the day when Seve Ballesteros was winning the Open, I was completely oblivious to it. Didn't have a clue. My family didn't golf. No golfers anywhere. So, you know, when I think back to what could have been in my life now, the last 25 years, almost 30 years being here, and what that's all brought, what I missed out on previously. Mm-hmm. So I was a slow starter, but I quickly catched on.
I'll see him in a couple of weeks.
Do we want to get the man in here too?
Come on in.
You want to come in and say hi to the people?
I just went and got a haircut. I'm not dressed for it.
We went through a bunch of the different photographs on the wall. But yeah, can you say your name and your role in the Dunvegan?
Yeah, my name's Jack Willoughby. I grew up in Texas, and went in the Air Force for a short while, and then I went in the oil industry. And at 27 years old, I was transferred to Aberdeen, Scotland. Followed my paycheck over there for a 2-year stint, which turned out to be a lot longer than that. So I was in Aberdeen on and off for 15 years, and we met up there. We used to work for the same company. I'm sure you've covered that. But we used to come here and play golf all the time. And first time I played the old course, I really liked it. The second time, I liked it more. And then eventually I just fell in love with the place and all the history and the footsteps that have been through here, and the fact that it's not a glamorous place, but there's not a bad hole on it. I could go on and on and on, but it affected my life. And so, have you covered what? I know you can edit all this, but
yeah,
we were up here. We used to come here and hang out and play golf on long weekends, and this place would come in, but it wasn't in the best of shape. It was owned by a publican from Dundee. He was letting his 2 sons run it. They weren't golfers at all, and we could just see a vision glowing in the back of my mind, and man, this could be a nice place to hang out, to develop into the 19th hole, and be fun as well. So the company we were working for got bought again for about the 5th time, and things weren't going great. I had a good job, but we met the owner one Sunday afternoon, and he kind of implied he wasn't all that happy with things. So I gave him my card and said, call me if you want to sell it. About a month later, he called and said, holy smoke. So I went to the bank, got all that done, and we made a deal. And then I said, you know, the ball's in our court. So we sat on the fence for about 2 weeks saying, do we really want to do this? But anyway, we said, if we don't do it, we'll spend the rest of our lives wondering about what it would have been, you know. So we did it, obviously. And one cold January morning, we drove down here, and after we got the thing done, and he gave me the keys, and I gave him the check, and he left, and here we were. And we had to go. We had a few customers in. We actually had the Rotary Club coming in that night for a Monday night meal, and we had to just learn. You know, we learned through the School of Hard Knocks, and we had to remove his clientele. Unfortunately, it was a rough drinking crowd, and it took a while to do that. It was hard going the first 4 or 5 years. We didn't hardly have a day off, and this was before the internet. This was before emails. This was, you know, there was no word of mouth business at all. And our first summer came around, and we were struggling a little bit. And I'd go out on the 18th green and with my cards and try to get people to come in and tell them about, and we'd get them out on the streets to come in. And then the Dunhill came along in October, and the American caddies came in, and they were staying here. The caddies for the American team. And these days, the Dunhill Cup was a team event. It was, and the Americans had a team, the Australians, the Swedes, etc., as a knockout event. Anyway, we got the American caddies who we got to know through the years by coming here for the various competitions and things. Anyway, they told their golfers about it, and Tom Kite and Fred Couples and Steve Elkington was obviously Australian team, and I think John. Anyway, they came in for dinner, and we got to talking to them, and Tom Kite really word of mouth our food quality, and slowly it started trickling up, and it got better every year, a little bit better every year. And when the Open was at Carnoustie in '99, we really felt like then we had crossed the hurdle and we were going to make it, because we got a lot of spin-off from that. You know, Nick Price came in with his wife to have dinner all the way from there, and you know, things. But in these days it was word of mouth, and that's the best kind, but it takes time. It takes a long time before the internet, etc. And then all of a sudden, it worked, and we hadn't lifted our head up hardly to see how successful it has been. But every time we go out, I just got back from a golf trip in Ireland and saw people. We bump into people and said, it's amazing how how big the brand has become in 24 years. You know. Even surprised us, and we're very proud of that. But we decided 34 years ago, I was 72 minus 5, I was 67. We decided it was time, and we had to bite the bullet and sell it. And we still maintain a small interest in the business, but we went ahead and did that. So this is our first Open. This is the first Open since '95. That was our first Open that we've been here when we weren't working, 24/7. So we're kind of looking forward to that. That's the short story.
That's the short one?
That's the short story.
Take a breath.
When you look around at the pictures on the wall, she kind of went through some of her favorites and the stories behind them. What are some that stick out in your mind?
Well, there's so many, and it's hard to pick one. The one that sticks out in my mind, I guess, to be fair, is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We're standing here, just shooting the bull. The R&A meetings were going on, and I think that's right. And Arnold Palmer and Tom Pinchman walk in the door, unannounced, and said, "Well, good grief." And he said, "I'm Arnold Palmer." I said, "Yeah, I know." We'd met him before, to be fair, but they wanted to come in. He had some time. He was speaking at the R&A 175th celebration dinner that night, I think, and he had just flown in, and he wanted to come toast his caddy Tip, who had passed away 3 or 4 years before that, and he hadn't been here since then. And so he came in and he ordered a half pint of beer, and they sat there and they toasted. And they went out and sat out on the steps, out on the bench outside, and cars were driving by, honking their horns, and this could only happen at St. Andrews. And it was what an experience, It could have. It's just that kind of a unique place, and I guess that's the first thing I would think of.
That's funny because she told the same story.
Well, Mr. Palmer is without a doubt the king. Notice I call him Mr. Palmer. I rode down on the train for my first year here with Tip, his caddy. He was a regular in here. He was playing in the British Seniors Open, and I rode down on the train with him all the way to Lytham St. Anne's, and I took that picture there. I took that picture and noticed the number of clubs in his bag, and it was a practice round. And we got them, and Tip was just like his long lost friend. We met him, and went and had a beer with him in the hotel that night. And like I say, this couldn't happen anywhere but here, St. Andrews, home of golf, without a doubt.
Last question. If you guys are sitting down for dinner in your own place, what are you ordering to eat? What are you ordering to drink?
Well, I'd be ordering the Dunvegan signature steak. It's an 8-ounce filet, jalapeno peppers, melted cheese salsa with a mixed herb sauce with vegetables. And then I'd order the sticky toffee pudding and ice cream. That's what I would be having. In fact, I'll be having that on Monday night. It's because I get time to come in for dinner now.
I might be having that tonight. What about you?
Well, I think you can't go wrong with that. Other than that, if it was in here, it'd be fish and chips. But the steak is something we developed early on with our chef, and it's been very popular, and it's good. The beef here is very good if you cut it, if you get the right cuts, etc. So you can't go wrong with a Dunvegan fillet.
Yeah.
Filet.
And of course, one thing too that we have to mention is that it's been a great ride. We've had a fabulous time. As Jack says, the brand's really strong. It's amazing how strong the brand is. But we've had so much support over the years from people in the golf industry, and the Golf Channel, and Rich Lerner, just throughout. Tour operators giving us the opportunity, because when we first took over the hotel, as we said, it wasn't a place that was on the map for tour operators sending their clients here. So once they began to see the what we were trying to create here, a place for golfers, they started filtering their customers in here, and the business grew. But we've been very fortunate that we've had a great team, working along with us for many years, and and a lot of them are still here today, and two of our employees as well are now here, and they're helping to manage the place and keep it going, and along with the new owners. And as Jack said, we maintained an interest, and we're here to help. So we've got a good team following on, taking over from us, and we're here to help and assist, but be on the sidelines. But we've had a lot of support, like I say, from the golf industry, all walks of life of the golf industry, and continued support, and it's fun. Can't look back, but wouldn't change a thing.
Well, on behalf of the golf community and everyone who likes drinking and eating, we all want to say thank you for doing it the right way, keeping the history alive and displaying the history so everyone can see it. So thank you guys for what you do.
Well, thanks for that. We appreciate
Thank you. Oh, got to cry again. Mississippi, Dennis Tosh and his 2 sons that came and stayed with us. And sadly, his son was killed in a car accident. But, he's got fond memories of his 2 sons being with him in St Andrews. It's a special place for him and his wife, and he's going to be here next week at the Open. And this gentleman here was here on a golf trip with his buddies and had his photograph taken, and sadly he passed away, and they sent a photograph that, you know, because they hung out here in the hotel. So it's kind of like a sacred place. And we've even, you know, there's so many father and son trips that's come through, and then the sons come back and brought their father's ashes with them, and father and son trips that were planned that didn't materialize, and then the sons come over here and play the courses that they had mapped out with their dad, and you know, have the ashes in their golf bag and play the courses and sprinkle some of the ashes on each of the golf courses that they plan to play. And then subsequently, following on from all of that, it's kind of heartbreaking really, but we've got some ashes up on the bar of people that, you know, came here as groups and wanted to leave. Their dad always had a great time here in the bar, and they wanted to leave some of their ashes in the bar in a little urn, and they'd always be here having fun. So we have that up in the bar as well, and I mean, that's just what makes St Andrews a special place. It's you know, you see it on guys' faces. I mean, where else do you ever see guys shop? Around here, you see guys coming out of golf shops and they've got 6-7 bags. Their wives would be proud of them, you know. And you know, they're marching up the pavement with their bags, you know. And I've got my golf gear, and it's a guy thing. It's a guy place as much as, you know. I love women's golf, obviously, and I've been fortunate to play in pro-ams with great players, but you know, you see guys here. It's like a what's the word I need? Not spiritual, but it's like
pilgrimage.
Yeah, it's like it is. It's a pilgrimage for a lot of people. Exactly. Yeah.
That's great.
Just remembered that.